I think the rule here is first there's chaos, and out of chaos may come order. If there's one suggestion I would make for those of you who come to Old Delhi is to just let yourself get lost, because you'll probably wind up being lost anyway. The traffic expands and contracts on these narrow streets like an accordion. And there are moments when you just wait your turn. You see how that gets resolved. Just an extra dose of honkage. Chandni Chowk means moonlight square. And there used to be, in the old days, a reflecting pool fed by a stream coming from the Ramuna River, and it was so beautiful, the name for the marketplace. This Chandni Chowk, Moonlight Square. That reflecting pool is long gone, and whatever serenity it may have suggested for the early days is also gone, as these streets are chock full of people selling almost anything imaginable. And not only do you see the variety for sale, but you smell the variety, especially spices and street food of all kinds, so that just walking through here is something of a sensory explosion.
मिर्ची दे दो ये बहुत पैसा ले लिया तुमने ज़्यादा ऐसा नहीं है ज़्यादा.
If you want to get Delhi belly, I would recommend what this gentleman is selling, which is called in Hindi, I guess, putti, but in English it means milk, and so it's milk on a stick, ice milk. Very good. Very good, but yeah. You see, he's pulling it and he's dipping it, so it looks absolutely delicious, but for me it'll have to be a hard no thanks. Oh, sorry. You know, you actually forget that you're standing in the street here until someone nudges you on a tuk-tuk and politely asks you to move over a couple of inches. It's hard to distinguish between streets in this part of Old Delhi. I think locals, of course, would recognize the difference because there are differences in the products being sold. And I would suppose that's primarily how one makes an identification of where they are. I saw an even narrower alleyway that I'm going to jump across and try to take a look at, but I honestly can't find space between vehicles that are queued up to pass the bottleneck behind me. Okay, here's my chance. I've made the turn. The next trick will be getting to the sidewalk itself, which is under the storefronts, sort of like a colonnade. And I'm going to try to work my way back to that alleyway just to show you how narrow some of these places can be. Well, here it is, and of course it shall be shared by tuk-tuks, with tuk-tuks I should say, and motorcycles. Now I'm using a left-right memory method to keep track of where I am in this maze of streets. And I've got to tell you, after 2 or 3 more changes, I probably would have exceeded my ability to keep track. But nonetheless, at this moment, I've entered an alleyway that is relatively quiet, but that can change suddenly. How about those for colorful dresses? Although probably with my camera, the LED lights in here are playing havoc with what I'll be able to see. You might wonder, wandering around in here for an extended period of time, where you would ever find a public restroom. Well, I'm about to show you. That is a public men's room, and all it is a latrine partially protected by a wall between 2 buildings just off this alleyway. So if you have to go and it's an emergency, all is not lost here. What is this?
Very this quality cotton, fancy designer suit. This.
Well, I'm walking toward the Red Fort in one of the main streets in Chandni Chowk. It represents something of a new model because this street has been modernized, if you will, to take away most motorized vehicular traffic. So that I guess here in Delhi, this would be considered a pedestrian mall. But of course, it isn't, because you still have to dodge the tuk-tuks, bicycles, motorbikes, coming here. It's a very busy place, but at least it's more moderated than it was just a few years ago.
I can only show you the historic Red Fort from the outside, unfortunately. That's because I scheduled my visit there for my last day in Delhi without realizing that it would be closed. But I didn't miss, and neither should you, another of Old Delhi's must-see destinations, the imperial mosque of Jama Masjid, approached by way of the venerable Urdu Bazaar.
This was the religious locus of power during the Mughal era, from its construction at the order of Shah Jahan from 1650 to 1656. Of course, in those days, the city that became Delhi was Shah Jahanabad. And considering the power of Islam as the glue that helped Mughal rulers keep their empire intact, it can be said accurately that this building was the most important religious shrine in all of India. The British took over Shah Jahanabad in 1803, and although the reigning Mughal emperor remained the nominal imperial head of the mosque, Mughal power and influence went into a death spiral until the official end of the empire in 1853. In wielding power here, the British were none too kind to the conquered Mughals or this sacred building. They turned it into a barracks, which was of course a desecration that the conquered Mughal Muslims took as a deliberate attempt to humiliate them. Although it must be said the British did return the buildings to the Muslims in 1862, and it has been in continuous use as a mosque since then. Time to leave.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you. As you see, there's renovation taking place here at the mosque. Scaffolding that covers much of the front of it. It seems that for the last year, ever since we've begun to really travel again after the COVID era, more and more of these World Heritage sites, you go there and this is what you see. So one of the reasons is that there was deferred maintenance during the pandemic, and these places are just now catching up. When you go to a mosque, you expect to take off your shoes out of respect, and that's what's always done. Here there's an extra step. Just to walk in this vast outdoor courtyard, you also must remove your shoes. And it is not the cleanest. So if you come here, you might consider an extra pair of socks, or if you pack lightly, just don't bother to put on clean socks the day you visit. This is really a gigantic courtyard. All sorts of people here, pilgrims who come here to pray, and others who just come to see the magnificence.
4-5 दुकान छोड़ के ये बस सामने दुकान होगा बस यार मोटे अक्षर में